And he wasn't a Sir yet. Huh?
No, I don't think he was a Sir at that time.
That's a more recent part of his.
Yeah, I can't remember when this.
I know. I'm trying to remember too. And I'm trying to compare it to when he did the "rude, vile pig" outburst. I used to play that on the radio. It was one of my favorite clips. That was in Taiwan, I think.
Right. That. Yeah. Well.
Were you part of his life then, or no?
No. I totally remember that. And the funny thing is, one of my good friends from his entourage was his personal assistant. And of course, and for some reason, someone had given him some heavy gold statue. And so he says, no, let's box it up and send it home. No, I've got to carry it on the plane. It's got to be on the plane with me. Well, that means that this guy's going to have to carry it, not Elton. So all during that thing, he was having to lug around this stupid big
everyone's
statue.
chasing him.
Yes, and yelling and stuff like that. And he's like, especially cursing Elton for making him not letting him ship this thing.
Oh, that was one of the best. Rude, vile pig. I love that one. You did one of the other, kind of like a different angle entirely of the celebrity experience you've had, and it sort of relates to this concert. Is when you did the movie, it was called Head in the Clouds, and you were playing Django, and he's doing the Django show tonight here in Hawaii at the Hawaii Theater. There were two big stars that you had in there, Charlize Theron and Penelope Cruz. Any experiences with them that stick out in mind that are worth sharing?
Well, you can imagine. I mean, the scene in the movie that we were in together, they were meant to dance together to what we were playing, and so of course, we had to be.
You're a lucky man in so many ways you are.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, because of course they're both gorgeous, and it was funny because we were there earlier, and the director was taking some close-up shots of us and directing us, and he says, "Okay, like now I want to take as if you're playing," and all of a sudden you see the two of them dancing together. So there's a little bit of acting involved, not a hell of a lot, but a little bit, but. Early that morning, because he was going to have some close-ups of my hand, we wanted to make it look burned and scarred like Django's, which I thought was really cool. And so there's special kind of makeup that they used for like battle scenes and stuff that they put it on my hand, and it drew it up and made it look like it was scarred and burned. And because of that, I mean, I kind of had to play like Django because I couldn't move. I couldn't really open these fingers because all the skin was pulled together. So it was kind of cool and realistic. But I was early into the makeup trailer because of that, And right after I sat down in there, in comes Penelope Cruz and Charlize Theron at 7:00 in the morning, without makeup.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I was trying not to look because I know that women do not like to be seen without makeup, right? So I was just like, I don't see you, but yes, I do. And they still were amazingly cool.
Were they nice?
Very nice, yeah. I didn't see that. I didn't really have that much time with Charlize Theron, but later I went to the premiere, and Penelope Cruz was there as well, and we did walk the red carpet thing together, and kind of went out after the thing. So that was pretty cool.
That is very cool. That's exciting. And a chat with you wouldn't be right to not mention someone who has passed on that you got to work with that we never talked with on the phone. And I'm trying to, like, as you can imagine, sort of weave together things that we hadn't chatted about before. And that is Johnny Cash. And we never got into that. I met him one time. I was very fortunate to meet him. What was it all about? How'd you get that gig? And tell us about being right there with the Man in Black.
Well, he's really, really amazing. And kind of the cool thing is over the years, probably sometime in the early 90s, I music directed a show in L.A., and the show was a tribute to some of the great country songwriters. And the ones they were paying tribute to were Johnny Cash, Roger Miller, Harlan Howard, and Buck Owens. And so that's the first time I got to kind of meet him, and me and 3 or 4 other, I think Travis Tritt sang a really great version of I Walk the Line. I sang Folsom Prison Blues, and I can't remember who, Dale Watson, another friend of ours, another. And anyway, it was a really cool night. So, and over the years, I became very close friends with Rodney Crowell, who was his son-in-law for quite a while. He was married to Roseanne Cash. And so, and also I worked a lot with Carlene Carter, whose mom was June Carter. And at one point we were recording together, and June made Thanksgiving dinner for us at Howie Epstein's house from Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, who Carlene and Howie were a couple at the time, and we were working on an album together. So there was a lot of kind of familial elements. And then finally I got called for a recording session, and it was a version of his song Big River. And he was there, and it was really toward the end of his life, you know. And
that's a great song. The Dead used to cover that one too.
Yeah, it's a great. So many people have done killer versions of that song, but the main thing I remember about that, I mean, I was of course very respectful, and I knew that at the time, you know, he wasn't looking his best because he just was getting more ill and a bit puffy in his face, and just, you know. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to ask him for a picture together or anything, even though I would kind of love to have that. But, you know, but the coolest thing about it was literally just hearing him speak my name and talk to me with that Johnny Cash voice, you know? It was like, wow, that voice I've heard so many times on television and on recordings. Because I guess so many artists, you know, you relate to their voice mostly from singing. You know, but he did so many talking things, his television show, and of course songs like, you know, Boy Named Sue and all that, where he's just talking. That
you knew his voice too.
Oh yeah,
what you're saying, that there's so many artists you really only knew them by their music, but Johnny, you really knew him, you know, as a personality.
Yeah, by his speaking voice, and then to have him speaking directly to you, you know, like normally an artist is not going to sing a song right, you know, to you with some lyric that's about you or whatever, but you know, hearing that, yeah, that was phenomenal.
Is there any memory that you think of that is more of a highlight than any of these as a sort of finale thing to you, sort of an ultimate highlight of your life or career?
Well, you know, I can't say that. There's so many. I feel so lucky. I was asked to be a honorary member of an organization called Mersey Cats. The Mersey Cats are all the members of the rock bands that were all playing all the clubs at the same time as the Beatles were in Liverpool. And to be, you know, a kid growing up in Southern California, you know, loving that music out of England, and then to be asked to be part of that, I was really honored for that. And not to repay that or to show my respect, I did a benefit concert in Liverpool for the organization, and with the money that they raised, they bought pillows for deaf children who live in Strawberry Fields, and these pillows have a special vibration kind of a thing where the deaf kids can hear music through these pillows. So just to be able to do something like that,
and in that kind of special place, right?
Yeah, exactly. Being a huge Beatle fan, and the whole thing was, you know, I mean, it's another kind of surreal moment.
You've come across those guys ever?
You know what? I have not met Beatles.
Well, it's something that you have to hold out for, you know. And as a final thought, anyone that you look forward to working with, if you had anyone or just a name or two of someone that you're like, man, I've never gotten the chance to work with them, and I think I could bring something to what they do.
Well, I would love to do something with Peter Gabriel. I love the Portuguese singer Maritza. She's an amazing fado singer. Of course, I'd love to work with Sir Paul, you know. And, you know, there's got to... also, Wynton Marsalis, I think, is an amazing musician.
So these are guys you have an eye on. You're like, man, I could bring something to that.
Well, I hope that I can. You know, I mean, it sounds arrogant.
You can, brother. You definitely can. Stop it. You'll lay down the law with those cats. But there are people, then. You do have aspirations with those. And that's great that you would say that. Like specific cats, like you name.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like you said already in the interview, I mean, I've been so lucky to work with so many, like, kind of like idols and things, you know, like I got to play rock and roll with Little Richard. I mean, how does one ever get to do that? And Carl Perkins, you know, rockabilly with Carl Perkins, and country music with Willie Nelson, and I've got to play with Bob Dylan and the Byrds and Michael Nesmith and Sir Douglas Quintet and guys from Creedence Clearwater Revival and all these, you know, I mean, Julie Andrews one time I got to play with, you know, and that's, I used to watch her in movies when I was a little kid. So it's so bizarre. I mean, I've been so lucky, and most of those were not ones that I was thinking, wow, I'm going to probably, do something with any, it was like, that's so far
By chance or random.
Yeah, so far out of my imagination. And my wife always says, you should really like visualize the things you want to happen. And I said, but the things that have happened to me have been so better than I could have ever imagined.
You would have been,
Earl Scruggs. I got to play bluegrass with Earl Scruggs.
What year was it that you did the Little Richard?
That was 1995. It was literally the first gig that I played as a member of Elton's band. And during that gig, we backed up Little Richard, Don Henley, Sheryl Crow, Sandra Bernhard, Terrence Trent D'Arby, Salt and Pepper.
What gig was it?
It was for AIDS Project LA. It was a benefit show. RuPaul even.
So this was right before. This was after he had done the Walden Woods benefit. You weren't at Walden Woods that time in '93, were you?
No, I started with him literally January '95.
Okay. All right, so it was a couple years after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've had a very diverse career, and that's why I just thought the stories would be the kind of thing, and they are. They're just as magical as many of the things that John generously shared during his phone interview. Well, I thank you for it. I hope that this is a gig that inspires more performances here in the islands, and hopefully, as you already wisely did, John branched out and is making Maui another part of his stop, and I'm sure that the next time around, we're certainly wishing you that you'll be hitting more islands. Maybe there will be a 4-island tour in store.
Boy, that would be fantastic. I would just love that. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for spending some time with us. I really do appreciate it, brother.
My pleasure.
Aloha.
Aloha. Mahalo.